Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smudcast number 839, How Barry Writes Men, the video essay. And just Merry Christmas to everyone before we begin. It's been a pretty hectic, busy month for everyone, I'm sure.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, we gotta stay positive. We gotta keep the
Don't
plan.
you mean happy holidays? Gotta be politically correct, right?
No, that is no.
Well, whatever you want to say,
politically
positive.
correct is anti-culture, anti-everything, anti-sanity, anti-jolly feelings, anti-happy children, anything good.
Well, we've had a lot of busy things going on across the world, and Canada is no exception. So it's a little uncertain of our future these days. But yeah, we're gonna think about other things like family and friends and loved ones, all that good stuff. And
yeah, especially.
La 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 la.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm still tired. I walked through town all day, and I still didn't get out of my chainmail.
Really? Chainmail.
Yeah. Well, we have we just had a car ramming through a Christmas market today.
Oh, wonderful! Holy hell, Jesus!
So I'll just stay in my medieval garb now indefinitely.
God, I wish I had a good Christmas market to go to, but the one that I kept going to every year has just gotten lamer and lamer as the years went by.
Yeah, well, the snow is missing.
And
that's the one thing that the left could actually make a point for the cold climate stuff. Because hey, don't you want a white Christmas? But they hate Christmas so much that they just can't bring themselves to get people by, hey, if we fight climate change, we can have a white Christmas again.
Oh yeah.
But they don't want Christmas, so they don't come up with the idea of.
Well, the snow is white. If it was black, maybe.
Ah, that's a point.
I did see glue wine at my liquor store.
Glue.
Yeah, this month. So I was like, hey, that's new. I've never seen the option to. I don't know if you have to heat it up. I just saw the bottle. I was like,
yes. Yeah. It's called glow wine for a reason.
Yeah.
One, it makes you glow because there's alcohol in it, and two, because it's warm.
Yeah. Well, I've been having a lot of other hot drinks, so that's okay. But you gotta get festive. You gotta buy and stick to your plan and buy the things you need and only the things you need because there's gonna be abundance of so many things. So take it easy.
I had a nice wild boar bratwurst with red cabbage and whatever the sweet berries are whatever you call those.
Cranberries.
I think those are the horrible ones.
Okay.
Or maybe.
Sounds good to me.
Is cranberry something you put together with red cabbage?
You can, yes. I've seen.
Okay, then that's probably what was on the wild boar.
Yeah.
Bratwurst.
Yeah, bratwurst is great.
Wild bratwurst is the best.
Well, if you got the red beets or whatever you pair it up with, it's actually a good combination. So there's lots of great things you could do. Cabbage is good. Sauerkraut's best. Carrots. I mean, there's all kinds of great vegetables you could put together with that. So anyway,
I think the red cabbage elevates it.
Oh yeah.
The sauerkraut goes against it rather. That contrasts more.
All right. So this is going to be a 22.5-minute video about the show Barry. I've never watched the show, so I don't know much about it from what I've heard. But it's about a bad guy. So I don't know how that relates to men being bad.
Oh, I thought this was something about the Flash.
Oh, really?
Eric, you've seen the show?
I've watched bits and pieces. Which one? The Flash or the show?
This one. The thing we're actually covering.
Yeah.
Bits and pieces.
Okay. Well, it's really about this person's interpretation, not necessarily the show itself. So let's see what he has to say. This is from, in case I didn't mention it, a person called Skip Intro on YouTube. Here we go.
Interesting.
Why evil?
Oh, it's that guy.
Am I like an evil person?
Oh my god. I mean, absolutely. Do I not tell you that enough?
They both look evil, to be
This
honest.
video is brought to you by Mubi, a curated streaming service showing exceptional films from around the globe.
Why is he advertising Mubi? It's a free app. Anyone could download it. Okay, never mind.
Why does he sound like that? I don't mean to be mean, but like
Because he's gay.
Close,
Just like the bald guy.
close enough. Anyway.
Month free at mubi.com/skipintro. Today we're talking about...
Told ya.
More than that, though, I want to talk about...
Maybe he just really likes exercising. I don't know.
I mean, the
In
headband
pink.
would look cool if he had hair, but you know.
And he has the star, and he has the gay stash. And come on, I was at the Magic Draft today at the comic shop. There were two middle-aged gay guys. They're a couple, and they both have the gay inflection, like right from the comic book. It's
Well,
like,
I mean,
it's nothing to be offended about. It's just a giveaway. Come on, you're signaling that to each other.
All right.
It reminds me of Anthony Fantano.
It could just be a fashion thing. I don't care. Let's keep going.
That's anti-fashion.
men, bros, guys, dudes, and the masculine urge to solve problems through violence.
That's toxic masculinity.
If there's one
Oh
thing
my
that's
God.
dominated the HBO era of TV for the
Tony
last
Soprano?
2 decades, it's seeing men doing bad things, often violently, and then wondering if they're truly evil people or just men stuck in impossible predicaments. You know, dudes being guys.
No, Ozarks is it's kind of a Breaking Bad story,
I guess.
but
Yeah.
just that everybody's on board and everything's desaturated.
With The Sopranos, it's a series about the mafia, so I don't see. They're not.
They're psychopaths by genetics.
They're not questioning their nature. They're not saying, "Wow, we shouldn't be doing this." It's like, no, they do it because they want to do it. There's no guardrail. There's just you just do what you want.
Yeah, I mean, he has to rationalize. He's a narcissist, whatever. But I'm more of like on Ozark. Marty it tries to resolve a lot of the situations with his words, not through violence, because obviously he's not a violent person. So I don't know. That's like the whole point of that show is that nobody listens to him, and then things escalate.
All right.
It's The Sopranos, it's Breaking Bad, it's Mad Men, it's The Shield, it's Dexter, and on and on and on.
Is Mad Men? I watched a few episodes of Mad Men. It's just a bunch of guys marketing stuff to the '60s or whatever the time frame was. It's not.
Sounds gay.
Yeah, but doesn't the character John Hamm doesn't he like sleep around even though he's married?
Don Draper?
Don Draper, thank you.
I don't know too much about the personal stories. I'm more interested in the plot and what's going on with all the episode characters, so I don't know if that's an ongoing thing. But maybe. I mean, that's just, again...
I don't know. Is that what he's talking about?
I guess, because it's not a military story. It's not like a mob story. It's just a bunch of guys selling stuff. So marketing could be considered caustic, maybe lying to people sometimes. But
Capitalism.
the way they show it, it's kind of like this magical concept of how to like market Kodak or how to market cigarettes or whatever they're trying to sell.
Yeah, I remember that was the first episode that he was trying to market. I forget what cigarettes, but.
And then they go through downsizing and all. Like it's just the business of being a marketing company or an agency. So, I wouldn't call that men solving things with violence. There might be a few violent scenes here and there, but that's just any story.
Is there?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there is.
I mean, in Mad Men, though.
Yeah, maybe someone has a fight and someone gets rowdy and someone punches someone. I'm sure that could happen. It's not unheard of in these stories. But I haven't watched it all. And from what I saw, it was pretty well put together. The pacing was good. The cinematography was good. The set was good. So that does not come across as a bunch of like masculine people running around hurting each other. It doesn't like a mob story. I could see that. That's violent, but it's not. Sopranos, I compare them to Mad Men as quality storytelling, but not in the same genre. So
Sopranos is more the family behind the crime.
Oh yeah, there's lots of different stories in The Sopranos, and the ones I've seen there's violence. There's almost always violence. So.
Well, it's more that you get a glimpse into the crime than you get a glimpse into the family, which is what they usually do. That's what makes them interesting.
Yeah, it's a compelling story, not because it's violent, but because of all the people involved and how they interpret it and how they get into scenarios, and the way that they just show the Soprano family and the corresponding other families. So it's good. It's good to watch. Anyway.
Were about anti-heroes or villain protagonists. But more than that,
Fair.
They were about masculinity. They were about taking charge, swallowing emotions, and dominating those around them. And while Barry is a show about a man who sounds like he should fit that bill, he's an ex-Marine and professional stone-cold killer, Barry's job as a hitman is less exhilarating, more soul-sucking corporate gig.
Like, I know there's more to me than that.
When the second season of Barry ended way back in 2019, God, time is a freaking acid trip. I had this whole video idea about how
Autistic sociopath, maybe?
Yeah, if you're a hitman,
That's a vibe I get.
Yeah, I've actually heard that take before.
Okay.
Like he's autistic.
Hey, I'm good.
like if you write a story about a hitman and he has some questioning of his humanity, or he has a life, and it's basically a slice of life of a hitman,
Yeah.
that's going to be very odd for most people, because it's going to be like, I feel uncomfortable. This guy kills people and now he's eating Cheerios. You know, it's like, okay, this is not what
Well, that's what it was so weird. That's why I checked it out in the first place, because I remember when this first came out, it was like, oh, that's a funny premise, like serial killer or a hitman turn into actor or something.
right.
And then when I heard the show ended, it was like, wait, there's action scenes and he's killing more people? What?
Yeah, it's it is, the premise itself is going to put people off unless they're there for the comedy and they're there for the actors that they know that can do comedy and do drama well, because most people aren't going to like the characters at all. They're going to be there's be something about them that has this redeeming quality, where we usually say like a prostitute with a heart of gold, or some element of redemption that's always there at the back of their motives. So it can work. It's just, it's a hard sell when you're talking about a hitman. Like maybe if he's super cool and he does things very stylistically.
Well, that's what I hear from this show. It's like he doesn't really change. If anything, he gets worse.
Oh, really?
I mean, do you want me to spoil the ending?
No. I don't really care. But
Yeah.
it's like these shows, like there's plenty of anti-hero stories out there. And once you understand them, why people read them or watch them, if you are just there to watch a downhill spiral, it's not going to sell. It's not going to work. Whereas if you see a show like Breaking Bad, you see the permutations that Walter goes through, and you're like, oh, if he just didn't do this, but you understand why. And if he just, the rest of the seasons, like the last few seasons, are just that. If he just did not go that far, if he just did what he's supposed to and didn't butt his head in and didn't have an ego trip every other 20 minutes, he would be fine. Everything would have worked out. Everyone would be rich. Everyone would be alive. Well, not everyone, but most people would be alive, and no one would be hurting anyone. So,
Yeah, if you didn't have that damn book in the fucking bathroom.
there's lots of those elements in those stories. Yeah.
Thanks, Walt.
Barry lineage of difficult men. It was going to be called Barry Breaks Bad. But then, when I sat down to rewatch the show, because, you know, it was 3 years ago and I'd forgotten everything, the thing that kept standing out to me was the way the show
After just
poked
3
holes
years?
not just in the conventions of that genre, but in the deeper ideas about masculinity that these shows
Really?
depict. While there are certainly some fantastic jokes built on the combination of violence and emasculation,
You got good guys right here, man. Oh my god, my guys suck balls, you know it. Especially this motherfucker right here. If I suck balls, you are king of suck balls mountain. Shut the fuck up. Ah!
It's gonna be a party.
It's not really a party time. There's a good chance we'll die.
Yeah.
I don't think that the show is doing this just for laughs. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that
Are you
every
sure?
way the show undercuts its own violence, masculinity, and the stories we tell ourselves to justify
He
them
thinks that-
is a statement,
oh God.
a critique, and
He thinks this not subversive. What's the word? The jokes that there's a
Undercut.
term for that, where the thing that you expect doesn't happen.
Undercut?
Yeah, the undercut jokes. If that is it.
Yeah, it's the awkwardness of comedy. It's not the joke itself. It's the fact that the other person is not accepting the joke or accepting the reality that they're placed in.
Yeah, and he thinks that is a big societal critique. No, it's funny.
Yeah, it's supposed to
be
make
funny.
the straight man who's like, I want to be a good guy, even though I'm doing bad things, but I want to do it well and properly and stop doing this, but I can't stop. And that's the kind of joke I guess the show is all about.
It's like Brain not reacting to Pinky jumping around him. Or Twilight Sparkle not reacting to Pinkie Pie jumping around her.
Well, he has a very sensitive view of comedy as it relates to manliness. So I don't know how this is going to go.
Well, even this monologue.
I don't think an effeminate gay man can teach us about manliness anyway.
Maybe.
That's what's so weird about it. Like, they're trying to make a weird dark comedy. Like this whole monologue that he gives. He's being serious the whole time, and the actor, director, or whatever he is, coaching director. He's like, "Oh, so you were in character or some shit?"
Yeah, I just noticed the coloring or the lighting rather of his how he illuminated.
That's bisexual lighting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how he did that. Like, it's not the wall; it's actually a light source, and he has two of them to do that. So. Yeah, why? Like he specifically did it this way. Maybe I'm playing around with the colors on my screen too much. Let me just change that up a bit.
No. He's just bad at lighting.
Yeah, Smud. Maybe you're bisexual. Maybe that's the problem.
What?
All right. Well, it's
he's
purple.
He's got a bisexual lighting filter.
It's purple and that faded yellow color, like a.
You've been hanging out. You've been hanging around with Hawk.
Oh, that other thing.
Well, it's either white or a faded yellow. I don't know what the color is. Anyway, some of these things are clicking, and I'm like, is this going to be what I think it's going to be? Just some guy talking about men?
Yes.
Because he likes men? It's like, all right, here we
go.
It's just another bias of a guy with a fetish. You're like, okay, but he's not overtly sexual. It's like, thanks. That's great.
Sure.
To its audience.
Interesting. The story's nonsense, but there's something to work with.
So, what does Barry have to say? Since seasons 1 and 2
Nothing.
ended 3 years ago, I'm going to touch on them in a good amount of depth, so spoiler alert for them, but I'll steer clear of anything from season 3, which just premiered. Okay, let's start by identifying a bunch of specific ways that Barry subverts our expectations about violent masculine characters. Where many characters in this genre feel trapped by society and find crime and violence as a way to break free, think Walter White, or live more authentic lives, think Dexter Morgan, Barry's life of crime isn't an escape. It's his prison. Think about how Dexter's serial killing of serial killers is an outlet for him, a way to embrace his more psychopathic tendencies in a healthy way? Or how Walter White's first act of rebellion against feeling emasculated is to beat up a teenager who was bullying his son.
What are you doing? What's wrong, Chief? Having a little trouble walking?
Does this even make any sense? Like, what does this have to do with anything? Why is he comparing these two? One it's a drama, one's a black comedy of sorts. Dark comedy.
Because Bryan Cranston played the dad in Malcolm in the Middle before, and in the beginning of Breaking Bad, he still kind of looks and feels like him.
Yeah.
Are they trying to show the
that
intros?
Must be it.
Well, maybe the introduction of a series and the first point where he starts tipping over is what he's trying to show us, and what the relevance of that means in relation to the other shows. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. Like, Breaking Bad's premise is simple. Good man breaks bad. And Barry, it's like, I don't know, he's depressed.
All right.
I know that kid kind of had it coming, but watching that scene back, it's kind of wild that people ever thought Walt was a good dude. Another good one to point to is
He's bullying his son! What are you talking about?
He's trapped in his corporate job and finds violence as a way to break free. You see, violence in these stories is often linked with freedom or strength for its central men. And while Barry is at the same lonely starting point emotionally as these characters, directionless and purposeless, his job is
Yes, violence sets you free in a way because that's how you get out of abusive places, out of captivity, out of slavery, out of oppression, out of tyranny, out of your rapist's grasp.
Yeah, it's the
if you will.
last recourse to all rational men when they can no longer argue or try to work within the system. They have to break out of the system.
Beware of people who condemn violence to the point that you should never, ever, 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 ever consider it. That you must talk your way out of the horrible person who wants to do things to you.
I think
as a child.
Any military practitioner, martial artist will understand the value of violence. That's why they never ever want to commit it, but they know the steps. They know what causes it, and they know how to get there. And that's why
learning martial arts is to mitigate and prevent violence.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. They never want to get into a fight. Every single martial artist I've ever met, I never want to do it. But if I ever see violence, I will run towards it and stop it. And it's this discipline they have in their bodies just to notice it when an escalation.
Unnecessary and malicious violence is mainly enacted by those who don't know what that is, or who don't value their own lives.
Yeah. It's weird, but it does happen.
Violence. He's already there.
The hitman world is really kind of an obligation to him.
Yeah, it's more of an
just
obligation.
Sort of like there are an enormous number of actors who work day jobs, and Barry just happens to be a hitman.
And Barry's dreams are not the typically masculine idea of breaking free from his domestic shackles. He doesn't want to become a macho kingpin dominating all others in his path. He wants a domestic experience, a loving family, and to go grocery shopping. I hate grocery shopping, so this made the character completely unrelatable to me. Barry
If you hate...
I think that was a gay joke.
I hope so, because if you hate shopping for food, I mean, what joy do you have in your life? Just eating food?
Shopping for clothes.
That is painful. Okay, that is annoying. Unless you're going to like a suit. If you're getting like fitted, that's different. That's a good feeling.
Smut, you have to understand this from the gay perspective.
Oh yeah? What is the gay perspective for food?
Shopping for dildos at Target.
That's true, and Walmart now, and supposedly, what's that other CVS, or is it Walgreens?
If you're having problems or not having joy shopping for food, you're shopping at the wrong places. There's got to be something in your kitchen. You're like, I missed that. I like that. Where is that? Let me go get it. And when you you'll find it. You're happy, right? That's basic stuff.
Cream.
It's basic.
But what is he talking about? For all men? Is this the masculine? Like,
I don't know.
What?
Maybe it's
he was trying to make a joke.
Maybe it's the traffic. Maybe it's the amount of people in the grocery line. I don't know. There's could be lots of problems. He doesn't like something.
Even Walt in the beginning, he's not looking for violence. He's just trying to make a quick buck. The problem is violence surrounds that world, though.
Yeah.
So he wants a successful life. That's all he wanted, and then it turns into a big ego trip.
Yeah, there's a point in the story where he's fine. He has all the money he needs. He can just figure out his cancer as it goes, deal with his family problems, and the story would end if he just stopped and just kept cooking here and there every month? I can't remember the time frame. So it would have worked, but he wanted more. He got greedy.
When was when was that? When in the show was that?
I would say around a lot of things happen. It depends on the when that other guy got killed. The other
that doesn't narrow it down.
Every time they try to make big money, something happens. Like either he didn't even want it. He didn't even want the treatment. He didn't even want the treatment. He wanted to die, but then he started accepting cancer treatment. So then he had to make more money. And then something else happens. He has to make more money.
It was the death of the other guy who was making meth. Like he was talking
about Gus or Tuco.
No, the other guy who really respected the other scientist that was working under Gus. that
Gale?
because the whole idea was that if he teaches him this, then he's expendable. So they had to get rid of the guy.
Oh, Gale Bittaker, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like this. He was making coffee, and he was like, "Wow, this coffee is amazing. You should be making coffee. Forget the drugs." And he was just a nice guy. Didn't agree with the government or the laws surrounding drugs, and was just helping this.
He was a liberal.
He was a libertarian.
Yeah.
He had the Ron Paul stickers on. It was hilarious. So he was a fellow chemist. He was just like Walt, and Walt had to kill him. Anyway.
Is less Don Draper and more Matt Damon's character in 30 Rock.
I want grown-up love.
In other words, Barry rejects this traditionally masculine role. He finds a purpose when he tries acting, a place where he can channel his emotions and through that find a sense of community and family.
He doesn't
Now,
have
wait,
emotions,
Jackson, you might
not
be
outward
thinking,
ones.
Didn't The Sopranos start with Tony going to therapy? Isn't him being in therapy like a huge part of the show? Why, yes, it is. But Tony rarely ever actually got in touch with his emotions. The Sopranos is defined
Because he's a sociopath.
Well, that's the joke about Sopranos. If there was ever a mob guy going to anywhere, like a therapist or whatever, and giving information and stories, that guy would be dead within a week. Like this, that's the joke. It's like, okay, does a sociopath really need this? Not really. No, not. He's totally happy. He's doing what he's doing. So
I'm happy it is well written in that it comes to no positive conclusion with the therapy.
Yeah. In fact,
Well, that's what,
Because it can't. It's impossible.
yeah.
Well, no, isn't that the irony? Like, the therapy actually did help him become more of an effective killer.
He
That is
does,
the irony of that is also a real thing in therapy with cluster Bs. They just get better at manipulating people through the therapy.
It is interesting because it's such a big part of the show that they integrated the therapist's scenario with the crime, that she ends up being part of it.
Right.
And,
Obviously.
yeah, it's such a crazy this psychologist who's so ethically motivated and like, okay, I gotta.
I hope this show is a good warning to therapists to not try this insanity.
Oh yeah, it's nuts.
Because you can't have talk therapy with cluster Bs. You only end up as supply for them. It's madness.
Which was funny because then he even tries to sleep with her. He just kept making advancements.
He turns her into narcissistic supply. Because that's all this brain does.
by characters always walking right up to epiphanies about themselves and then sprinting in the other direction. As the legendary TV critic Emily Nussbaum put it in her piece The Long Con back in 2007, quote, "Each season, Tony knew himself better. He gained more sophisticated tools to cope with life, but he became a better mobster, not a better man." And on Barry, acting could theoretically make him a better hitman, if he was any good at it. Instead, it helps him process the violence and get to a point where he wants to leave this life behind. It's not what you'd expect a man to do in this genre. Those characters often close off their feelings to...
Why did you put man in air quotes? These are all pretty much men, without air quotes.
Do you think that all men want to be like Walt or Tony or Barry?
He has for a man, in air quotes, he has a very strange conception of what men, without air quotes, think and are. He seems to lack some empathy.
Let's see all these anti-heroes. And, oh, these are men. It's like, no, these are fantasies. These are fictions. They're not real.
It's like a what if,
It's
like we all have that capacity, but
it's one of the joys of fiction to see one of your fantasies played out on the screen or in a book that you would never do and no one would ever do. But what would happen if you had this capability and freedom and access to resources and time and the potential to be evil? It's like,
I think that's why Walt has become such an icon too. It's like it's so easy to sympathize with him. Yeah.
Walt is believable because his path into that is completely understandable, and his wife is just crap.
Yeah.
violence, losing the families they're trying to protect in the meantime. This kind of inversion of masculine expectations exists all over Barry's character arc. When he decides to try to impress his acting classmate Sally, he tries to emulate a guy who knows exactly what he wants and isn't afraid to go after it.
Looks like Bieber's macking on your chick, dude. Yeah.
He flashes money and style while trying to shoo other men away from her, but it backfires pretty spectacularly.
I just feel like you've got some toxic masculinity issues you need to work out, and until then we just shouldn't interact so.
Yeah, when a woman says this, you just forget about her, dump her, because her brain is full of ideology. She's brainwashed, and you won't unbrainwash her.
Well, she's
impossible.
She's an actress, probably a liberal. Hollywood.
Oh, does this take place in California?
That's what that is. It's socialist brainwashing. That's where it comes from.
Is this
feminist garbage?
Does this take place in like the setting is California?
I thought it did. Let me check.
Does it make any difference at this point?
Yeah.
Whether this is California, Canada, or New Zealand, it's the same crap everywhere.
Yeah, it is in Los Angeles.
Okay, that helps me out. Okay.
Much or like at all.
In fact, the only person he ends up getting the attention of is the most macho man in the room, a man who watches porn recreationally.
What the fuck?
What? Why else would you watch porn? Scientifically? For your media science class in university? I mean, that is the one other option.
He could be.
What do you watch? If you watch, what do you think people watch porn for, if not recreationally?
I mean,
we have a definition problem. What does he think recreationally means?
Maybe he's trying to be funny. I don't know.
I guess no. Here he's not funny. He's trying to be a bit demeaning. So there's a joke there, but. It all relies on how you understand the word recreationally, and so we have to ask, especially since he's gay, how does he see intimacy? How does he see sex? Is that not recreational to him?
Well, yeah, that's what I don't understand. Like,
because that's
is it demeaning because they're not beating off to it, or is it demeaning because they're watching in the first place? I don't know.
Yeah, but beating off to it is recreational. That's the entire point of the action. So what? And if you just watch it in a more passive, analytical way of how does this stimulate my brain? Oh, it doesn't really get me anything. That's still an attempt at doing it recreationally. So what? How can you say this? This line makes no sense. Are you human? Are you? So I'm autistic. That character on the right is at least autistic. He's probably also other things. But how am I understanding humans more than you do? You must be an alien, because I am pretty sure I am a human. Although as an autist, you often feel like an alien watching in from the outside. But this is non-human talk. This is a skin suit.
Maybe he's using the term as someone with a hobby would recreationally watch The Simpsons. Like, it's just a thing they do, and they happen to like The Simpsons. This guy happens to like watching porn.
Yeah, so when you go up to your guy friend, you just go like, "Hey, you guys, watching any good porn lately?"
It's like, oh, do you watch B movies recreationally? Because I couldn't. They're horrible. Do you watch The Room recreationally? The answer can only be yes.
I mean, I do jerk off
in a very strange way.
Anyway, we get what's going on.
Look what this chick does to this dude's asshole.
I guess he's just a fan of the art form. It's not just Barry himself who subverts expectations about his stereotypically masculine role, though. The head of the Chechen crime mob, Goran, is a pretty traditional gangster. He wouldn't look out of place on The Sopranos with that burly physique and gruff attitude. But nearly every time Goran appears on screen, the setting sits in stark contrast to that character type. It's torturing people with his garage filled with pink, girly toys, talking about raiding a stash house at a gymnastics practice for his daughter, or ordering a hit.
Yeah, it's what I wanted to say. That's probably his daughters. And It's not as extreme a contrast, but that is the actual vibe that The Sopranos has. Because everything is within the normalcy of family life. This is just a color contrast that does the exact same thing. That character is probably a complete homage to Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
I think that's the
And
idea.
this is just ham-fisted for people like you to be able to notice it.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. It's like, let's do a mob story or a hitman story that has all these elements of like The Sopranos with mob characters, and because they have to have a setting and they have to have a plot where they have to go kill people. So they have to have the normal people that would want that done and would pay for it. So it's like, okay, yeah, we have to make it believable. Let's get the mafia going. Let's get the Russian mafia. Let's get the police, whoever, to make it sound like this is a real thing. You're like, yep.
and then make it funny, I guess.
And then have the dry humor that doesn't land because it's not supposed to, because all the characters are weird and not sure what's going on. That sounds like the show. And if this guy's like not trying to understand that, I don't understand. Like, I don't know where he's coming from then.
Yeah, the title is How Barry Writes Men. So far, of like, are we getting anywhere? To an idea?
So far, they're weird and psychopaths. So it's like, okay, fair enough. I understand it so far.
But men, like, what's the idea behind men? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I'm lost on.
Ordering a hit while a bunch of young girls are watching Disney Channel in the other room. It's a far cry from Tony Soprano's strip club base of operations.
Well, it's actually pretty realistic.
My daughter is having sleepover and we are being too loud.
Even more noticeable is
Funny.
NoHo Hank.
You may find that far off, but it is not.
Wait, is that hair? What the fuck?
I think that's a fungus infection. I've seen that with
Yeah,
beards.
Does he have cancer?
But yeah, no. I think that's a fungus.
All right.
Because it does this sort of symmetrical thing.
It just looks like he hasn't washed his head.
All right. It's just,
sorry, that threw me off. I was like, oh.
Let's just keep going with what he's trying to get at.
Alopecia icon and the polite and effeminate lieutenant of the Chechen mob.
I'm nice. I'm polite. I'm optometrist by nature.
Hank has an amazing fashion sense, clearly putting time.
Yeah, because he's gay. I told you in the beginning, this guy's gay. He's gay face. And he has gay clothes.
This guy's literally me.
Oh, that's why he likes the show.
It's something like that. Yeah, he associates with this fellow for some reason.
Time and effort into his appearance, and is focused not so much on the violent aspects of the gang's operations and domination, but on the aesthetics of it, the presentation.
Gay.
He obsesses over what table to buy to put the...
Look at that! Look at that! That's a gay psycho. This could be some Silence of the Lamb movie here, and this is the villain.
Okay.
It's like Breaking Bad because he's bald.
No, I think this is the gay mannequin look. That's why it's bald, and in this lighting, especially, you see the dark makeup that accentuates the eyes, which gives him an even more effeminate look. This absolute creepy psycho shit. Perfect for this show.
Heroin on.
Coffee tables, but not sure how to look for the table that I need. No, it's for heroin.
Reads self-help books.
We are more powerful together. So true.
And
Look how he's sitting on the
insists on
bed.
delivering a bullet via DHL for theatrical effect.
See, this way, we send message to the Bolivians. Get inside their heads. They open mail. Bullet. What? Phone rings. Hello? Paco's dead. What? Little what leads to big what for full effect.
When the Chechens bring in the veteran hitman Stovka to replace Barry in Season 1, Goran and Hank fangirl over how tough and manly he is.
When I was a kid, I saw him once walking out the discotheque. He flicked cigarette at bird, knocked it out of sky.
But when he arrives, it's immediately apparent that his life of violent masculinity has been terrible for his mental health, his family, and his skin.
How old a guy are you, Stovka?
45.
Jesus Christ.
I had a wife, a child, but they leave me. She say I'm broken.
Yeah, I caught about half of that, Stovey. If you could take my cell phone out of my pocket here, I could show you one gal.
That's the
She's
guy from
Cherokee.
Dodgeball.
She's really wild.
I mean, this is a dude clearly suffering under the weight of patriarchal gendered expectations, if I do say so myself.
What?
Whoa. Where are we going?
Whoa!
I think he's trying to make a joke again with the ideology. Dude,
That
you're
didn't
not
sound
funny.
like a joke.
Yeah, but that's because he doesn't have any real humor.
Let's try this again.
I mean, this is a dude clearly suffering under the weight of patriarchal gendered expectations, if I do say so myself. When Cristobal...
Was that a joke?
That's not how you use that line.
Okay, maybe it wasn't.
Was that a joke or not? I can't tell.
I don't know.
With this addition of, if I do say so myself, it is only you saying so, and this is not how you use that haughty line. You don't understand humor.
Yeah.
You have no comedic talent at all. You're just gay, and you like the show because there's this gay character that you like very much.
Yeah, the tone was comedic, but it sounded very specific, and I guess she was putting on an act?
I think he tries to say that this is actually the most truest thing to be said about this. And I'm sorry, you're brainwashed. Because you're not capable of being any smarter than that.
Maybe he's breaking gay.
If he was making a joke about
I think he broke gay a long time
this
ago.
sort of vocabulary at the start, then when he uses it, then we could go, oh, he's being funny. He's trying to be funny. Then it would make sense because we know where he's coming from. With that context, I'm like, it sounds like he's trying to be funny, but what's the joke?
Yeah, it was just delivery. Delivery was a problem.
And content. And everything.
Right, yeah.
The leader of the Bolivian crime gang joins the story. He and Hank are incredibly similar, and even enter into an implied romantic relationship with each other.
Look,
Of
I
course
love
they're gay together.
Okay, can we just say that once and for all? Look, I love you, man.
The fuck?
Okay, so what's the point of all of these masculinity observations?
So we're touching on a thing, but we're not commenting on it.
They're funny subversions, but this humor, I think, has a deeper purpose. Whether it was The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Mad Men, take your pick in the genre, there was a large contingent of the audience that idolized the most toxic traits of these characters as being real men. I mean, I found this GQ article where someone asked the writer where...
I don't think any written articles in any publication speak for the majority of the audience of anything. These are just crazy idiots
Well,
who
can I
want to
ask?
write a headline that stands out.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, can I ask who did Don Draper appeal more to, men or women? Because I always heard it was women.
It's just only watched by women.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad's an exception.
The character as a job, like he had a relationship with his clients that was very important, and that was the whole reason he had a job in the first place, and that's what it was all about, is about having your line of clients, no matter what you called yourself or whatever. Like if he were to change his agency or go somewhere else, the clients would follow him. So he did very well for his clients. At least that's the idea. So that was respectable as a businessman because you're doing exactly what your clients want. You're the best there is. Other people can do better or can do well, but not as good as him. So that was, I guess, as someone watching the show saying this guy is a skilled businessman and he knows how to deliver, because that's the point of market. If your marketing agency does not work, they go somewhere else, you lose your client. It's that simple. And there's a scene or there's a series of episodes where they lose clients and they downsize and they go somewhere else. So that's just business. That's the story of the show. And yeah, he's an attractive guy. Like that, they even make a joke about that. Him being like there's a kid who's young and really good at his job, and he sort of dislikes Don because he's just good looking, but he's actually very good at his job as well. So it's kind of like, you know.
Yeah, he's oversimplifying this. is annoying. And it's like when people say they idolize a character, not a real person. You do realize this, right?
Yeah, it's a simple thing.
If they actually existed, would you actually idolize these people? No.
It's a good look into I think the 50s and the 60s, or the 60s and the 70s. I can't remember exactly the time frame. And the fashion, and like everyone's smoking and everyone's wearing suits and everyone's, very formal. And then behind the scenes, they're like, pulling their hair out and what do we do? So it's kind of cool in that context, because I like the settings. I like the idea of the office space and how they move around. There's a very eclectic old guy who's got like this carpet. He has to take his shoes off and he has to have all his little things set up a certain way. So there's all kinds of little details there between the characters. So no, it's an entertaining show for what it's worth.
Well, didn't it also take place in the later down the seasons? Didn't it take place in the Vietnam War? Wasn't that a thing too?
He was supposedly a war vet, but he lied about that, I think, and that was one of the blemishes on his record. But people didn't really care. It's like, well, yeah, he may have lied about this or that, but he's doing well for us, so we don't really care about his character. He's bringing in the money, and that's one of the messages of the show, is that it doesn't really matter who you are. If you're doing your job well and you're helping out the business, then everything else doesn't matter. So that was kind of an interesting element of his character.
Mm.
So I don't know anything about the personal stuff. I don't think I watched those episodes. A lot of people like those a lot, but I never watched them. I just watched a few episodes here and there. So I don't know what the relationships are like.
Well, I know he eventually divorced his wife because she found out, but that's about as far as I know.
Okay.
Where all men like Don Draper had gone. And the entire article is just the writer trying to explain that, no, Don Draper is not bae. But on Barry, it's hard to misinterpret the fragile masculinity of its characters. Humor deflates any sense of coolness or badassery in the show's violence.
Oh my god, that was so scary. That was really scary.
I think Barry is trying to use its humor to separate violence from an essential manliness that we often see in these shows. To see what I'm talking about, take this scene from the end of the first episode of The Shield, a show about crooked cops. I mean, that's a lot of testosterone. They're playing Kid Rock, they're walking in slow motion, there's even a baseball game in the background. These are dudes being guys being dudes.
They're cops. They're corrupt cops, as you said. That's it. That's the story.
Even then, what's wrong with dudes being dudes?
He's framing
They're not gay enough.
He's framing it in a very odd way.
Yeah,
guys being dudes is like, what? No, they're cops. They're doing a job and they're doing it for their own profit. They're breaking the rules. People like watching those stories. It's not inherently,
Yeah, it's like he doesn't seem to understand why people enjoy watching an anti-hero. It breaks from the norm.
The salty food is salty. Like, yeah, okay. What's your point?
Well, I wouldn't even say that. I'd say the spicy food is spicy.
Yeah, it's like whatever. It's like, yeah, we like that thing. Wow, why? Because it's exactly the thing that we wanted.
But it's spicy. Why do you like it?
Do you want a bunch of like boring-looking men, like thin, just guys that doing like blue-collar work? Do you want? I don't know. That would look kind of boring. You want guys like full of testosterone, doing bad things because that's what the look is. That's the image.
He wants the same scene, but he wants a Taylor Swift song playing instead.
No.
That would fix it, I guess.
They are real men. I've made 2 videos about The Shield, and this is a story that makes it pretty clear that these characters are villains, but the way that this is shot, the masculinity of it all, can often...
The masculinity of a ladder and a shotgun. What are you talking about? The masculinity of it all. What does that mean?
just being tough.
I don't think he
guess.
knows what that word means. It's a magical stand-in.
Well, he's trying to imply that just being tough, I guess.
Does he think corrupt cops are all men? Like, I've seen plenty of news stories and real crime dramas or real crime stories that had women involved.
And you get rid of them even more difficult. It's even more difficult to get rid of corrupt female cops.
Like just imagine this was all women doing a thing. You'd be like, okay, and?
They'd be strong and powerful.
Toxic femininity is like, what are you talking about?
No, that's so. When women do all the abusive shit that they call men toxic for, then they're strong women. They're strong and independent women. It's good. It's good when women do the horrible, corrupt, violent shit that men do.
It would be the same logical association that he's referring to, and I'm like, okay. Then again, what's the point? What's the message? What are you getting at?
Yeah, but I feel like he's conflating, like, because good and evil both share the same trait, being strong or being masculine, I guess. And it's like it can go either way. Like, you can use your ability for good or you can use it for bad. Like, so, but he's trying to imply it's only for bad.
Well, the problem is the word is so ubiquitous that the word toxic masculinity or toxic whatever. It's like, what is toxic about this? Yes, they're breaking the law, and as cops, that's inherently bad. But if it was a bunch of just mean guys not breaking the law, would that be toxically masculine? I guess so.
You get such useless terms when you get them made up in the first place by commies who just want to make up a term in order to slander an entire demographic, best half of humanity, in order to play divide and conquer game, because that's all that it's used for. They use toxic masculinity the same way they say they use Nazi. They just call everyone who's in the way.
If you just reduce the language to like good and bad. So here are bad guys doing bad things. You're like, yeah, and it's very bad. It's like, yeah, that's the point. It's supposed to be a story about bad guys doing bad things. Why do you think people like watching and reading that? Violence is not a daily occurrence, thankfully, and you read these stories that have these bad things. Like, oh wow, that is scary. That's bad. I don't want to see that, but I can enjoy it from my distance because it's not real. And I could sit there in my room and watch the show on the screen or read the book on my bed or whatever and go, wow, what a great, crazy world that is.
It would be much more interesting to ask the question and find out why women are obsessed with crime drama, with serial killers, true crime, and all of that, and they tend to be the same women that complain about toxic masculinity.
True crime, horror story.
They write serial murderers in prison, love letters, and marriage proposals. There's something weird going on in those heads.
Yeah, that's a very specific type of interest. Haven't met those people yet. Anyway.
Throw male audiences. Yeah, they're bad, but they're also kind of badass. That's not to take anything away from the intent.
Okay, now it's okay because he's getting a hard-on. Hey, he's actually revealing the thing. The thing that the feminists and gay men like him complain about toxic masculinity is actually what gets them hard.
If he's just referring to action scenes or guys with guns shooting other guys and like, sort of like a heist scenario, yes, that is exciting, but that's not.
Well, people can enjoy the thing on their own enjoyment. Like you can enjoy it for it being the darkest thing you've ever seen, or you can enjoy it being like, oh shit, there's an action scene, guns blazing. But, there's different levels of entertainment that.
Yeah, I see no different than, let's say, a Dexter plot where Dexter is going to kill someone, which is bad, but he's killing the bad guys. Whereas this is probably the same scenario. They're going after a drug dealer, which is they're probably doing it illegally, like they don't have a warrant or any other legal allowance, but they're doing it anyway, and they might profit from it in their own way. There's all kinds of scenarios you could explain this. So yeah, that's fine, and it allows you to have a violent action scene, like the same with Black Hawk Down or any of these war movies where it's like, okay, guys in World War II doing violent things, it's war. You're allowed to, so there's a certain ambiguity to the audience, like, okay, yeah, everything's free in war. You can do these things. And you want to see that visceral nature of humanity. There's all kinds of appeal to that. I get it. But what are you getting at? You can't conflate the two. You can't say, well, here's war and here's violence. That's bad. And then here's the toxic masculine behavior. That's
thank you. Like what is his point?
Yeah, how
it writes men.
How are we connecting the dots here? Because you could say toxic this and that all the time, but what are you talking about?
Are you talking about a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, the two most formidable enemies Barry faces over the course of the show are the female detective Moss and a little girl.
I thought you were a dog.
I mean, she's like a...
What the fuck? She jumped that high?
The wires...
That was on rope.
Did you see those wires just carry her across the... This is a comedy.
That wasn't... Yeah, that was an Asian martial arts movie jump.
Yeah, this is wire food. This is a joke. This show is made to make you laugh. It's fine. It's not to be taken seriously.
Dude, and then he compares it to serious dramas. Like, fucking hell.
Demon, but she's also a little girl. I should also mention...
That's pretty much the Exorcist.
Whoa, what? This is Barry? How did I miss this?
Yeah.
That each season has featured a hit where Barry is hired by a man to kill the person their wife is having sex with. And if that's not a commentary on emasculation, I don't know.
What?
That's
Wait,
not
what?
How?
Wait, what's emasculated? Did I miss something?
Do you know what the concept of revenge is, sir? The jealousy?
Does he know what the word emasculation means?
Wait, who's getting emasculated, though?
I don't know, because those men are certainly defending their masculinity by not letting another asshole plow their wife. That's what a man does. At least one who respects himself.
Is he saying that the men who are hiring the hit are emasculated? Is that what he's talking about?
So wait,
Yes.
a guy he cheats on my wife, so therefore I'm emasculated because I want to take revenge upon this person that has caused me so much damage and turmoil.
And you are emasculated if you are fine with it having happened and you forgive your wife and the guy. Like maybe one of them.
Okay, so then
maybe you can forgive the guy if he didn't know she was your wife.
Oh, okay. So what about
Because
if
then bro code is kicking in.
So if she doesn't consent to it, right? It turns into a rape. Am I still emasculated?
No, then you could forgive your wife because it's not her fault for being raped, but then you would take it out on the rapist, of course. But if your wife seduced the guy because she didn't have a ring on, or in other ways hit the marriage, it's not the fault of the guy. Because he was tricked by a wife who was cheating on you.
The implication being that you're not much of a guy to have that wife, and the wife knows that, and she goes off and gets her own thing. So...
Well, some wives just don't, even though they have the best guy they could possibly have, will still go out there because, I guess things are too easy. And they want that kick in life. And they're certainly gonna get it in the ass.
Know what is. Masculinity in our culture is often defined by a purity test. You cry once, and that pokes a hole in your entire manhood.
Not necessarily with other men, but women have a neurological response, an automatic reflex that will make them feel disgusted about a man who has cried when they see him cry. It's just there, and there's people here in town who that happened to, and people who were great friends. And one of the girls in the friend group then said, she still wants to be supportive and helpful towards him, but something just switched in her, and she's just disgusted and detests him now, and she doesn't know why. This is a natural reflex.
Well, isn't it kind of on a biological sense, right? Because a man's supposed to be strong and protective.
Yeah.
And
And
a female
even
gets
though the situation was completely understandable because the guy's dog died,
right.
the sheer fact of her having seen him in tears made her despise him. Even though she didn't want to feel, she didn't want to despise him, but the feeling was there and she couldn't get rid of it. It's a deeply rooted neurological reaction.
Anna, and it takes away from your mustache. You know what I'm saying? And I think that in some ways, Barry is using those purity tests to try to separate violence from an inherent stoic masculinity.
All right, loosen up, you clowns. I'm just kidding. You guys look great.
While acknowledging that this is something that's socially conditioned in our men. You don't have to be a violent monster to be a man, but it does seem that men are often encouraged to be violent by our society.
I don't know why everybody wants me to do this, okay? I don't want to hurt anybody.
In the second season, Barry recounts the first time he ever killed someone in war to his acting class. He leaves out some key details to them, but we see the whole story. That Barry was praised by his fellow soldiers and found a real sense of belonging through that act of violence.
From 700 yards! Jesus, oh my God! What are you doing? I was gonna take the bibble, but forget it! Very bad! Barry Berman!
Yeah, but that's war. What does it have to do with society?
I zoned out. Where are we? Is he having PTSD flashbacks from being bullied in camp?
Is he acting out the scene of this on a stage? Like he wrote the script?
From what I if I remember correctly, I think they were ordered to write a play of some sorts. He did that using his memories from his time in the military. I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Barry.
And that relationship between acceptance and violence is exactly what's used by his boss Fuchs in order to manipulate him and throw him into this life of contract killing. But one of the great magic tricks that Barry pulls off as a show is that it slowly shifts the conversation. While the first season is focused on the question of whether Barry can escape this life, the second season asks a different question. You see, Barry isn't a good guy forced to do bad things. He kills for selfish purposes, and he has a deep rage underneath that meek exterior that is genuinely terrifying in the moments where it peeks out.
Why did you Facebook me, dude? You hit me.
He does not look meek. His features make him look more like a psychopath than they make him look like an autist. It's just that he has this tiny vibe of innocence about him that I can't tell where it's coming from. But he looks more like a very dangerous person, just simply due to his facial features. Together with the stare. But I think what makes the difference is that he actually has widened pupils most of the time. I think that's where the niceness comes from. Because a psychopath wouldn't have that. Psychopaths' pupils are usually small.
Facebook. Why'd you just say that?
Barry is certainly a violent and evil man.
Oh my God. Are we really debating the morality of murder? I mean, that's what the play is about. Macbeth is a murderer.
Yeah, well then I guess so am I. Right? I mean, I've killed people. I should just go blow my brains out because there's no hope for me.
I think that Barry is relating to his experience in the military, which is completely justifiable. And I want to say on behalf of the rest of the class, boy, I'll tell you, thank you for your service. Really.
Thank you, Barry.
But I think that you will all agree with me that if you kill outside of war, you're a fucking psycho.
But it's something that has been encouraged out of him.
What if you kill your rapist in the act of trying to escape that? Or, I don't know, escape your captor in some other form? Just saying, that's outside of war. Although technically it's a psychological war that you're trapped in, so... But that's not the kind of war he's talking about. It's not as black and white as he makes it out to be.
Well, he's simple, so I mean... Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, what about a serial murderer that's been set free by a presidential pardon, for example? Is that just? Is that an abuse of power? Is that where maybe because if the thing is the monopoly on violence belongs to the people. It is lent to the government. The government then abuses it or neglects it. It falls back to the people. So it's a bit difficult. Because the problem is then you don't have a system of justice anymore. And then the question is, how do you judge that correctly? Because, well, you're just one person. Gets difficult. It's not as easy. Not as clear-cut.
Every state has their own rules and laws on these violence engagements, whether it's defense or defense against your home and property. So it's not. Yeah. There's no right answer. Everything's a bit gray when it comes to.
And just as a warning, the state of Thuringia, still has the death penalty. It's just not enacted because on the federal level, the death penalty is outlawed. But if ever, for some reason, Germany breaks apart and the states become independent, Thuringia has the death penalty. Just saying.
It's the only utility anyone has ever seen in him, and it's the only thing that has ever brought him a sense of belonging or purpose. Acting, and particularly Barry's new father figure, Gene, provide Barry with a healthier outlet, emotional language for him to process his anger, depression, and violence in a setting where no one is hurt. Barry's best acting comes when he faces what he's done and processes those emotions.
I just saw you go to a place tonight I have never seen before. I don't know if you can do it again, but it was amazing. Okay, I see you're still in that place.
The show's very premise, the way it twists violence into monotony, is one that we could easily view as one that comments on the state of this genre. Audiences have been inundated with ever more violent and vile men. Like, we get it. It's enough slices. These shows might not have been about this idea.
Maybe it's because Hollywood is degenerate and evil, and being more what's the word I'm looking for?
Gratuitous.
Yeah, is that the right word? With gore and just shocking, vile body horror type imagery.
Yeah, you try to use The Voice as an example, and it's like all that is just gory violence and
unnecessary Körperlichkeit would be the word, but bodiliness, and they're just being repulsive to be repulsive. There's nothing else to it.
I think the issue
it's just an excuse to show porn.
In this case, the
and
issue
not good porn.
is the genre is also lending itself to comedy or a dark comedy. So you can't have the same level of drama or seriousness when you have, hey, let's ramp up the violence, let's ramp up the masculinity. It's like, yeah, but it's all done for jokes.
Yeah, but there's dark comedy, and then there's just being disgusting.
Yeah, I'm referring to the show itself. Maybe he's talking about that, but it's like, okay, if the show is doing what it's supposed to do, and it's just more of the same, then there's nothing to really.
Yeah, but he's comparing it to like shows and movies that are just there for entertainment versus like what. It's not like in Breaking Bad or Sopranos, the violence was like, what's the word? It wasn't like flashy, it was serious. Like, oh my God, somebody's dying. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, The Sopranos is pretty much in your face. Then something happens, and you're like, oh, okay, that's violence. This show is probably the same, but there's that angle of awkward humor that some characters are in, and you're like, oh. And that's the premise. It's always uncomfortable. It's like, oh, that's weird. And whether it's psychological or violent or whatever. So that is I think the underlying vibe of the show. So if you want to get serious, you can, but there's going to be a joke in there. There's going to be not a punchline, but there's going to be that element of awkwardness where it's supposed to make you laugh.
What was the laughing part about Homelander in his psychiatry lab where he was as a child and torturing all the staff? What was the joke? What was the funny part? That he laser-eyed the guy's testicles?
Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I thought he just killed everybody and then he on the elevator or something.
Well, that was at the end.
But maybe, yeah, all right, that's all I've seen. That was just the meme or whatever. Yeah, I haven't seen the whole context for that.
Originally, but the kind of discourse around them has made it clear that we often want to find ways to use or justify a kind of inherent male violence.
And these people I take out, like they're bad people.
Male violence?
They're like they're pieces of shit.
TV is an empathetic medium. We want to like these characters.
Something that you don't have. I'm not talking about the TV. You probably have a TV.
And if we accept the narrow and rigid definitions of masculinity presented to characters in this genre of show, we have historically come up with reasons to forgive and forget. Maybe there's an even bigger...
I still don't understand why he still uses the Ozark. Like, females also commit violence as well. I don't see how it's
I never want to see that show again.
I don't see how it's a male violence.
It's the most depressing... I think it's the most depressing show I've ever seen. And the colors just add to that.
Well,
I'd rather watch a black and white movie than the Ozarks.
I've never liked that filter yet.
evil that he's fighting. Maybe he's providing for his family. Or maybe he's just such a wounded and flawed man.
Well, I guess everyone's a hero of their own story, right?
I think that in a lot of ways, the second season of Barry is where the show took a leap. It got weirder in the best ways. It moved past the conventional question of, is Barry evil? He is. And it fleshed out its cast a lot more fully. But it also carved out its own space in the genre. Sally is in many ways an avatar for the show's commentary on itself and these types of shows. She is the only main female character in a genre where the
who talks about toxic masculinity, so she's just the ideological megaphone. Fuck her.
She actually dating Barry? Jesus Christ.
Well, communist woman obsessed with a serial killer. Fits.
Well, does she know though? I don't know.
I think that there's some telepathic magic with quartz crystals going on.
The primary love interest is often derided.
So many other women have the same story. What, am I a spokesperson for them now? Could I be the face of the movement? I mean, what if I get it wrong? I mean, I resent the fact that Nick can get up there and talk about his stomach condition, and it's not like he has to be the poster boy for bulimia, but I get up there and whatever I say, it's like, what are we saying about women?
There were large swaths of fans that actively hated Carmela Soprano and Skylar White, female characters that they saw getting in the way of their men being men. But for Sally...
Hey, guess what? Women also hate...
narcissist.
Yeah, women also hated Skylar. What the fuck are you talking about?
She's a horrible, Oedipal narcissist.
Well, it's kind of like you're writing a negative character. It's like, we don't like the bad character who's just there to be bad to all the other antagonists. Like, yeah, that'd be annoying. That'd be like a little thorn in the side.
When she jumped into the pool to kill herself, I was like, yes! Yes! Don't have to bother with this bint anymore. And Walt can be happy and get out of crime because he knows the money's enough for his disabled boy. It's great. And no. It wasn't.
He also dismisses the reasons why Skylar was hated. Like, she did smoke when she was pregnant. You know, she tried to put her affair out there.
Oh. Is that what caused the disability?
For who? Walter Jr.?
The kid, yeah, the son.
I don't know. I'm just talking about when she was pregnant with the daughter, Holly.
They had a daughter?
All
They
right.
did.
All right.
She was bored in season 3.
What?
Anyway, let's finish off this video.
Her gender is frequently highlighted and held up as the inverse to Barry's unconventional masculinity. She's defined by her career focus and ambition, stereotypically masculine traits, but she's constantly running into her own rigid gender roles.
You became the character of, what was her name?
The script just said wife.
Well, you elevated it.
She's sexually harassed by sleazy acting agents, and she's typecast into demeaning and condescending female roles.
There's 3 women. When we meet them, they're all in abusive relationships. They're lost. But then over the course of the pilot, they meet each other, they realize how much they have in common, and they start to lean on each other.
That's great. I love that.
So they start a group where they kill their husbands.
Jesus.
But that's the pilot. The series is them finding other women in similar tough spots and helping them get revenge.
Wow, this man's cooking.
This is just a reflection of the show on itself. That's the joke here. That he's pitching a show that is this show, but gender bent. This is a common joke in comedy. How does he not get that?
Wait, this show's a comedy?
Well, apparently, after all I've seen and you've commented, this Barry is obviously a comedy.
Maybe
and these scenes that we've seen, they have comedic timing. This is comedic timing.
maybe he's seeing it as a satire, but he's taking the satire to mean the traditional sense where you criticize politics, and he's reading so much into it. It's like, well, what's the politics of today? Toxic masculinity and the patriarchy and blah blah blah, all these buzzwords, and he's just running with it as opposed to actually watching the show for what it is. Because
look at this pitch. Look at this pitch. Payback, ladies. It's that time of the month for revenge. It's perfect. I'd watch it.
This
is so stupid.
Yeah. But that's the point. It's supposed to be a stupid joke or lame jokes. That's the level of comedy of the show, which I haven't even watched yet. That's the point. It's supposed to be uncomfortable and silly and lame. And it happens to involve violence and a guy trying to get out of that world and he can't get out.
And look at that beautiful image. They even sit in a puddle of their own menstrual blood.
Anyway.
Importantly, in the second season, Sally explains how she is a victim of a violent man, her ex-husband. Sally describes the story of her leaving that marriage at first as a moment of defiance.
You want to choke me? We'll choke on this. We're done. You got it?
But we later learn that this is a lie, that Sally stayed with him for years while he beat her and choked her, finally getting the courage to leave in the middle of the night when he was passed out drunk. Sally writes a powerful and raw scene about this, where she explains that truth.
I take care of him, so my shame grows. I stay for the apology.
But at the last moment, chickens out and reverts the performance to the fake story about her defiance, to universal acclaim. Turns out, people don't want the truth, they just want the truth they feel best about.
And now we know why you hated Aaron Ryan's story so much. His story was dark and gritty and frankly kind of a bummer about women who get trapped in a hopeless existence.
The truth was full of hope and redemption about a woman taking charge of her life. Really inspiring.
This is not unlike the story Barry tells himself about being able to change.
There you saw another attempt at the comedy with the air cushion uncomfortably deflated, making noise. This is a comedy show.
Yeah. Dude's taking
this guy doesn't get it.
Again, I think it's the traditional definition of satire. He's using it in the literal sense for a political understanding of something he likes. He's like, oh, there's deeper meaning in this. It's like, no, there isn't.
I think this is supposed to be dry comedy, but Americans don't really have a Hollywood. And I know Americans who are very good at dry comedy, but Hollywood isn't.
Yeah, it's the difference between a UK show and a Australian or New Zealand show. Like, they're similar, they sound similar, they look similar, but the comedy in the Australian show, like Flight of the Conchords or What We Do in the Shadows, like those sorts of comedy. It's one joke.
Even Farscape. Even Farscape.
Yeah, that's very different. Yeah, there is comedy there, but it's very quick because they don't have time.
I think SG1 came close.
Well, the joke is it's a bad joke, and they just pull it out for the entire scene, and it just keeps going, and they drag it out, and that's the comedy because it's so lame and so silly and not funny, and then because they keep dragging it out, it becomes funny, or the scene becomes funny. So it's the comedy of patheticness, or it's the laughing at patheticness in the right way. Because when someone is pathetic, it's like, oh, you shouldn't laugh at that. But if it keeps going and keeps going and keeps, oh, geez, this is, what else are you going to do except laugh at it? So that's what's going on here. Everyone's really lame, and it's violent because this guy is a freaking killer.
I think what the problem is that there's no laugh track. So I don't know when I'm supposed to be laughing and when I'm supposed to be thinking.
That would be atrocious if they put a laugh track
I think
in this show.
Compared to it's so late. I forgot what that horrible show was called with Sheldon.
Oh,
Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
This is not as horrible as Big Bang Theory, where there are actually no jokes once you strip the laugh track away. The scenes here, they are kind of funny. You can see it, you can feel it. With Big Bang Theory and other equally bad sitcoms, it's just dread.
All right.
Before going on a murderous rampage, even killing someone he once saw himself in without any hesitation. I think that in a lot of ways, these stories about difficult men are stories we tell ourselves about masculinity. That men are violent creatures who just need to be pointed at the right targets. And I think that Barry is playing with that idea. Are men violent by nature, or are they made violent through our expectations?
You know how you and I talk all the time about my purpose?
You think acting could be your purpose?
Is he?
Is masculinity a rigid one-size-fits-all box, or is gender...
No, you obviously like this because this wrestling scene here looks like gay sex. I'm not falling for it. I'm not going to watch your porn.
Across Europe.
What a
and in the
creature.
process touches on masculinity and the way it presents itself in games and competition. It's a really interesting perspective. Features the director going through a good old-fashioned existential crisis halfway through the film, and
Well, I'm still confused because the other example is like Mad Men, for example. Where is the violent nature in Don Draper?
Yeah. No.
Oh, is he naturally violent, or did he just become violent? How? When he advertises and works with his clients and cheats on his wife.
He talks to people. Oh my god.
Violent. Oh man.
you can check it out on Mubi. Mubi is a
oh dear
where you can watch
Mubi.
Having a film festival at your fingertips, you're always in good hands.
Ew.
You like having a new episode of Barry every week? How about a new film every day? You can
Why
try
is there
Mubi
so many
free for 30
same-sex
days
people
at
kissing each other?
mubi.com/skipintro. That's MUBI.
Because he likes the gay. He doesn't like heterosexual intercourse.
That was
So
it.
wait, how Barry writes men and he ends it with, "Hey, check out Mubi."
Yeah, no, it's it. It was all a plug for a free down. Anyone could download on their app or on their phone or just download the Mubi app and watch free crap. Like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever.
This guy has a 250,000 subs and tons of patrons.
Look at this. Why is NCIS obsessed with Israel? Are you retarded? Did you watch? The show has an Israeli character.
NCIS? I haven't watched that for a while.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. The original show
Is it obsessed with him? I don't know.
Maybe because she's the daughter of the head of Israeli intelligence. Like, maybe, I don't know.
Is she? I don't even remember that. I just remember, she's a hot girl.
Cote de Pablo or Piablo, I can't remember the last name. Yeah, no,
I don't know.
Ziva David is the daughter of the head of intelligence. Yeah, dude, come on, use your brain.
Propaganda, how the LAPD created cop shows.
Yes. Anyway.
People love crime dramas.
Anyway, let's see what we got.
Sure.
Every nation has their own.
the Shield, for example, that crooked cop show. Yeah, totally.
All right, Let's see some stream memes. I'm sure they're there. Oh, we got some. Here we go.
Really?
There is nothing toxic about your masculinity. Thank you. Stop using the word, please. It's stupid. Doesn't mean anything. Not hard to use actual words that have actual meaning, as opposed to this catch-all phrase that's supposed to mean something we don't know what. Matt Damon. All right.
Okay.
And there he is on SNL, I think. I don't know where this is, but
Yeah, it's SNL.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, they got a comedic actor to do a comedy show. Wow.
Smudcast number 839. How Barry writes Ben video essay. Yeah, that's
Daniel Kibblesmith's long lost brother.
I have forgotten.
Oh, geez, what the hell is, dude?
I don't even know who this guy is.
What is?
I remember the name.
All right. My messages video. Don't be a pussy. I'm not sure what this video is about, aside from I like show. I'm going to use some buzzwords. Watch movie or whatever the app was. I can't even remember the app.
Barry writes, man. Yeah, I'm still lost on that. I don't know what I was supposed to take away.
Can you imagine like handing in an essay to your teacher where you just ramble on about a show you like?
Yeah, but look, the teacher is YouTube, and YouTube always gives you an A.
Yeah, especially if it's gay, then you get an A+.
Yeah.
Anyway, that has nothing to do with toxic men or the term toxicity or toxic masculinity. This was just him describing the show, trying to wrap it around the phrase when all he had to do was simplify what he was trying to say, focus on the ideas that he wanted to focus on. Like, I like this character. This female is in the show and she does this. It's like, okay, focus on that. That would have been great. Talk about that crazy blonde girl. That'd be good. As opposed to all this, like, here's the gay man who's also a hitman. You're like, yes, and is this good? Is this bad? What is it? Tell us.
It breaks convention from other Emmy-winning shows like Breaking Bad and Sopranos. What? What does that have to do with anything?
The Sopranos did not help. I was like, yeah, it's a mob show. What's your point? We've had mob
How many
shows.
people idolize them? Oh, right. Yeah, like
Well,
Chris.
we-
He beats his girl.
We
Yeah.
love the mobster movies because they're so well made. They are very concise. They're action packed and romantic, and mysterious and violent and scary. It has this massive subgenre of slice of life that nothing else can come close to aside from the heist movies, which are also a part of that as well in some cases. So yeah, there's a reason why that works within movies and TV and series and books as well. So, all right, that was enough of this year's topic on what, this wasn't even an offensive film. It was just dumb. It was this silly nothing of a video.
It was confusing. That's, yeah.
Just a fanboy talking about the thing he likes. That was it. It's like, yeah, you like a thing. That's good for you. Who cares?
Make that video then.
While using leftist buzzwords and not even getting to a point.
Whether there was a point or it was a joke, I don't know. That's what's confusing.
Well, that's enough for me. We're under an hour and 30 minutes. That was pretty good for...
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, lame video. Thanks, you guys, for the suggestion. I don't know when we're doing the... what was the other video we wanted to cover?
Ginga wants to do it Monday.
Monday? Okay. We'll do it Monday. No problem. So, guys, thanks for your attention and all the suggestions, and keep them going so we know what to watch next. And we will talk to you soon. Hopefully you've got your Christmas shopping done or in the process, because it's getting busy out there. So be sure to wake up early and do your shopping then. Don't wait till the evening. That's going to kill you.
Or go to the gym.
Work out in the evenings then. Change your schedule just to get the shopping done, because that's going to kill you. Either way, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon. Have yourself a great evening. Good night.
Night.